3 new Kickstarters, getting some playthroughs, getting some reviews coming here, as well as our very first giveaway, as well as a couple more giveaways that I have planned. If I make it through that one alive, I think I can do it, as well as what I've been playing this month, what's happening. Howdy and welcome. I'm Mike, your board gaming every dude, and this is Board Games for One. Also, I'm very busy getting Kickstarter stuff done, so this is an unedited video. I'm not editing anything, so I apologize, there's no fun camera angle changes, there's no sound edits. If I make a mistake, it stays. I'm so sorry. Stick with me. First of all, Kickstarters that are coming up. I like to feature these. I'm loving the publishers that I'm meeting to work with. So first off, we've got this lovely little 2-player game called Fortify. It does have a solo mode made by the designer, not thoroughly play tested though, but I've gotten to play it out. It's pretty cool. I've also made a solo mode before I knew that he made one. So anyway, that is getting posted on the channel later this week, as well as a giveaway for this game right here. So this is a rambunctious game for adults who are kids at heart. You are throwing water balloons at each other's box forts, trying to knock each other down. It's a real-time game. The solo game can be real-time or not real-time and more of a puzzle mechanic. So, coming to Kickstarter. This is Barrel Aged Games. Been super. I'm pretty sure it's Caleb. I'm so sorry if I got your name wrong. This is all off the top of my head. Caleb's been wonderful to work with, and I hope to work with him more. He also has Moonshine Empire, which has already been funded and released. So hopefully that will be getting to me at some point here soon, and I'll get to feature Moonshine Empire, see if that's a good game for you, and that's a 1 to 4 player game. All right, so Fortify, looking pretty sweet. Look for that this week. It's also getting featured on the Board Game Nexus YouTube channel, which I'm a part of the Board Game Nexus, and that's run by Anthony and Francis of Antlab Games. So you're going to hear a little bit more about the Board Game Nexus. They've got a trading market up now as well, all kinds of fun stuff. But you can check out their channel for those details. So don't have time. And Bonnie and Clyde, this little work of art right here. This is a solo board game that is coming to Kickstarter. And I'm sorry, this is coming to Kickstarter September 20th. I hope I got that right. If not, it's the 19th. The links are down below. I'm trying. Bonnie and Clyde is coming to Kickstarter on September 30th. This is a relaunch, so it didn't make it the first time, and that was largely due to feedback about art, so it was canceled. And man, the dude listened. Alex, I hope it's Alex. I know you use Anketropia. I hope it's Alex, the designer. They got another artist, and this artist is a board game graphic designer, and it's not just that the art is like cool. The graphic design is fantastic. It calms me because I can read from top to bottom. But we're going to hear more about this. I'm going to do a full playthrough. I'm also going to be featuring this over on, I'll be doing a full playthrough on the Board Game Nexus because I wanted to have as much exposure as possible. This is a 1 to 2 player game, primarily a 1-player game. You can play it cooperative 2 players, with one of you playing as Bonnie, one of you playing as Clyde, and one additional role if you want. You don't have to play with that. But I would primarily say this is a solo game. Now, okay, so playthrough over on the Nexus. I'm going to be doing a condensed review, so like just the meat and potatoes over here as well, and possibly more. I may do another playthrough of like hard mode or something. It's going to depend on timing. I would like to do 2. I don't know if I can pull it off, but I want to. I'll also be doing a preview for the designer for the Kickstarter page. These are not sponsored. I'm not against being sponsored unless it's a review. So I want to be straight up with that right up front. I think I have been, but I want to keep being clear on that I approach this as a business because I do better that way, and I can give you better quality content if I approach this as a business. However, with Bonnie and Clyde here, I decided to I wanted to make the preview video because I actually believe in the game. I enjoy it. I like the improvements that have been made. I like the theme. This is a solid, crunchy Euro 1 to 2 player game. Medium weight. I wouldn't say it leans into heavy unless maybe hard mode. I would say medium. Maybe the Rococo level. We'll have to see. We'll see. I struggle with weighting a game. I'm going to say medium weight. But anyway, decided I wanted to do that, and I wanted to do it on my own because I want to be free to give an unbiased review. It's not that you can't give a review of something sponsored, but will you trust me? I don't know. And I just don't feel right with that. So what I've done is I'm in close communication, actually with both. I've had awesome communication with both the designers. Whenever I have a question, I ask them a question. Am I playing this correctly? Or if I have a question about the art, I had a question about some of the highway art here. You'll see later in reviews. I'm taking up too much time. And I just wanted to find out, did you intend for this? Or is this something that's going to be changed later? You know, are there going to be car meeples, not car? Little questions that I have about gameplay that I can then share with you. So I love having that communication with the designers, and I love having the freedom to just bring these to you as they are. So those two Kickstarters, super excited about. And also there's a game coming up called In Dreams by the same publisher that did Northwood, because I believe that was already funded. And I want to bring Northwood to you. So when that's available, that may be coming. But for now, as long as the publisher is able to send it to me within the next week or two, because they have an October 10th Kickstarter. Actually, even if it's a little later, I can still get it up. But I want to do a full playthrough of this beautiful solo game called In Dreams. We're going through this surreal landscape. So I'm curious to see what it is, and I want to bring it to you. So that should be coming as well. And as I mentioned, Moonshine Empire. As far as what's going over to Board Game Nexus, you're going to be seeing a full playthrough of the Castles of Mad King Ludwig with a solo playthrough with two changes actually that I have made to do what I think is improve the solo mode. So if you watch my review of Castles of Mad King Ludwig, you'll see the couple issues I have. And I tried to fix those the best I could. It's not thoroughly play tested, but I think it could work. So check it out. That will be coming out a little bit later. Priorities, first 4 to 5, Bonnie and Clyde on September 30th on the Nexus. And also I would hopefully get In Dreams over on the Nexus. And then condensed reviews over here, maybe even playthroughs. All right, so that's what's going on right there. How about we talk about what I've been playing? What I've been playing. What would you be interested in? Played this with 13-year-old boy. Jurassic Park. Dr. Sattler versus T-Rex. This does not have a solo mode. I wish I did, but I just like Jurassic Park, so I was like, I want it anyway. So I got it. You play as the T-Rex. It's gigantic. It seems the strategy for the T-Rex is go aggressive, go hard. It matches the theme of the T-Rex because he hurts himself when he attacks. So you got to really try to end this game quick or you end up killing yourself. 13-year-old buddy, he played T-Rex, of course. I played Dr. Sattler. I love Dr. Sattler. I don't know if I'd be happier with Dr. Sattler or Dr. Grant, but they need a game with Dr. Grant and Lexi and Tim. I mean, come on. I need a Tim costume. I need to get a Timmy costume. All right. And all the costumes. But anyway, I played as her and Ian Malcolm, and they're pretty cool because they work with like this research thing. So your job as them is basically evade. Try to evade as much as possible, get a couple attacks in, but let the T-Rex wear himself down. And that worked, so I won. I felt bad, but hey, I don't let kids win. So that was fun. 2-player, does not have a solo option, and don't really know how to do that. Where is stuff? I want to keep these visible because they're the stars of the show right now. Can I make them both visible? There you go. You can see them both that way. Okay. And you can still see my beautiful face. Here we go. Squirrel or Die. Squirrel or Die is actually 2 to 4, but I've spoken with the designer, Seppi Yoon of Fight in a Box, and I don't know if it's up on the website yet. There is a solo mode coming, and I could see it being very easy to make. But I played this while I was down in the Florida Keys with family, just 2-player, and we enjoyed it enough. We actually played, I think, 5 games in a row to get the strategy, and it's where you play a squirrel and you're creating this grid of a backyard that starts in the fall where you're trying to squirrel away nuts and things, getting ready to hibernate so you can survive for the winter. Maybe not hibernate, but survive through the winter. Once you have placed down all of your nuts and things on a grid, well, you're also placing dangerous cards, death cards, and they're all face down. So you're trying to remember, okay, I put food here, I put death here, but you don't know what your opponent put. So then comes winter where you start flipping them over. First person to flip over 3 deaths loses the game. So what I found as a strategy for Squirrel or Die is control those death cards if you can. If they become available to pick up, like pick up a death card in the fall so that you can place it. If you can just remember the placement of 3 death cards or 2 death cards and a bomb, something like that, then you can almost guarantee a win. Of course, your opponent may have the same strategy, and you may have to change it up. Super cool. Played it through. I'm interested to try the solo Seppi when that comes out. Cool. All right. One Night Ultimate Superheroes. This is a social deduction party game of the Ultimate Werewolf line, except I like this theme. So among me and my friends, we're not going to play the werewolf themes. This is just a different theme. And the only downside is it's one night, which means it's a quick game, 5 minutes. I would like for this to be like Ultimate Werewolf, Ultimate Superheroes, not the one night version, because I like the games last 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. But for a 5-minute warm-up, we played 4 times in a row. The kids, teenagers actually, did seem to pretty much get into it. The adults were, 1 or 2 of them seemed to have a good time. I think we were 7 people, but seemed a little confused about it. Basically, by the time we played 3 games, they understood what was going on. I wanted to keep playing, kids wanted to keep playing, but I didn't want to force anyone, so we moved on to another game, Spyfall. So I would play this anytime, actually. Hidden role. Some of you are superheroes, some of you are supervillains. Superheroes have like 5 minutes to figure out who the supervillains are and catch them, or if you're the supervillain, you want a superhero to get accused or just to evade, and then you win. Everybody has a different role. Everybody has a special ability as well. So super cool. I enjoyed it. The only downside is it is the first like 30 seconds when you're among new players not used to this, it's just kind of dead quiet, because it takes someone to be like, to bluff, and be like, look, I am the spatula man. I am the spatula man, and I can prove this because blah, blah, blah. And I know because I swapped a card with so-and-so that they are the, Invisigogigator. I forget the names of the villains. It takes someone, so I did that. Once people get comfortable doing that, it's a very fun game, but you have to be willing to kind of gently let people get used to that and encourage some of the talk without forcing it. So that's that. All right, I think that's a down of any social deduction game. Your group has to warm up to them. Then we, as a group, we moved on to Spyfall, because I've been trying to do a game group every couple weeks just to get closer to some different people around. So I invited a family over. They invited me back. They loved Spyfall. Spyfall is a card game where you're either the spy or you are agents at a location. Cards are passed around. Everybody that is not a spy knows the location. So it'll say you're on the Titanic, or I think it's a cruise ship. You're on a cruise ship. Everybody that's not a spy knows that, right? The spy just gets a card that says spy. They don't know the location. So the spy knows they're the spy, but they don't know where they are. The agents don't know who the spy is, but they know where they are. The way the game runs is each person takes a turn asking someone a question to try and decipher, are they an agent or a spy? So you might ask something, you want to avoid yes or no questions, but say you're on the cruise ship, you might be like, tell me about a day in the life here. And they'll give you an answer. And based on their answer, you might be able to decipher that they know it's a cruise ship or that they're a spy. But they got to be careful, because if they don't want to give the location away to the spy. So if they give an answer like, oh, I'm surrounded by water and just, lounging in the sun, well, then the spy is going to know, oh, I'm probably on a cruise ship, because they can look at a picture of 20 locations it might be. So it's a tricky little game. So that goes around. You only have 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 6 players. If you want more than, or 6 to 8 players, whatever, up to 8 players. I don't know. I can't read this stuff fast enough. But whatever, it's close to that. 3 to 8 players. Boom. We had 6 and then we had 8. But if you want more players, you can use Spyfall 2. It introduces new locations and lets you go up to more players, like 12. Okay, so just new locations, and you can play with 2 spies. With this, you can play as 1 spy. So Spyfall 2, played with them both. The way the spy wins is the spy at any point during the 8 minutes when you're going around asking questions, the spy can stop and reveal their card and say, I want to guess the location. And if they get it right, they win. If they get it wrong, they lose. Once the 8 minutes are up, the spy can no longer they can no longer guess the location. They are at the mercy of everyone else. Everyone at that point then can deliberate and has to come to a unanimous vote to accuse a spy, and it must be unanimous. And if they accuse the wrong person, that's the spy's goal, then the spy wins. So tricky, tricky. And the way it works is I would say, Clifford, and I would ask him a question. Then Clifford asks the next question. He cannot ask me back. He has to pick somebody else. So you can't ask a question to the person who you just spoke to. So that helps to keep things moving. So everybody gets included. I was happy. I enjoyed it. Let's go to a solo. I've been playing Duffers as well, the golf-inspired deck building game. And cool thing is I have a sealed, or what do you call that? Shrink-wrapped copy. So I want to do a giveaway for this, but I'd kind of like to do a playthrough so you can see what it is first. So I want to band those both together. Just be patient with me. But it's a golf game. It's basically solitaire, really like the card game Solitaire, but with some golf rules. And I believe I did a YouTube short or a TikTok or something going into more depth about it. I'm not going to go into too much depth now, other than you have big cards that work as the greens, and you are dropping cards that are different, like, what do you call them, clubs? Things like that. I don't know a lot about golf. All right, different clubs that have a certain amount of footage. So like I drop a card and it's like, well, that's 25 yards. So the hole requires me to get 175 yards. So I'm trying to play the right cards in order to get those 175 yards, make that hole, and then go to the next green. And there's several different greens, and you try to get as close as you possibly can. And of course, you draw some cards sometimes that work against you, environmental effects and things like that. You may also draw some cards that really help you. So solo game plays completely different than the multiplayer game. In the multiplayer game, you have a shop to shop from, and you're kind of interacting with each other that way. In the solo game, you start with everything you need from the shop. So sometimes I'm disappointed when that happens, when there's an element I really like in multiplayer that I'd like to see in solo, but at the same time, it makes it a nice, calm game of solitaire, right? But with a much more interesting theme. So I still enjoyed it, but good to know that it's missing some of the multiplayer elements. Okay. Oh, this was cool. This was just a note from Fortify, from CLYDE, and it just made me happy. It came with the box, and it was just like a thank you note. And I just want to say those little things like that aren't necessary, but they mean a lot. I really appreciate it. So that's something I'm really growing to enjoy, is not just interacting with you. So I love your comments and things like that. Makes my day. So by all means, if you enjoy this, give me a like, give me thumbs up, whatever. Ask any questions, give any comments below, because the interaction with you is what I enjoy. I'm a solo gamer that enjoys interacting with people. Make sense of that, and you're who I interact with. So please do. But this interaction with designers, I'm really growing to enjoy. So yeah, keep that up, keep that coming. It means a lot. SOS Titanic is another solo. This is a solitaire card game that can be played cooperatively. I've played it at 2-player and I've played it solo. I prefer it solo, though I really enjoyed the 2-player game. It has to be with the right person. I played 2-player with my sister, and she was the right person. She's a very calm, cooperative player. So the game doesn't change much between solitaire and co-op, other than in co-op there are a couple cards that have effects where you actually are able to kind of interact with each other's abilities. So the way the game works, it really is I opened it up a little bit in a preview video on here. It really is solitaire as well. So these are both by TGG Games, and they're both very solitaire card based. You want to know that up front. Beautiful book that you open. Starts out with the ship. It's not sinking at all, and we're super happy about that. And you have crew members on decks, just like in solitaire, in these long lines of cards. And just like in solitaire, in order to clear one line of cards, you have to place something of a suit. So like if this crew member is a second class with the number, I forget whether it goes up or down. I think it goes up, and I apologize if I'm wrong there. So let's say this is second class number 3. The next card would have to be a second class number 4. In this one, I might have a first class passenger with the number 7. So the next card to put below them would have to be number 8. And then you want to get them from these rows onto lifeboats. So you really want to have like the lowest number possible, a 2 on the lifeboat, because once you put like an 8 there on the lifeboat, you can't put anything before. You're in effect sentencing these people to death. If you've played card solitaire, you know what I'm talking about. I'm so sorry if you haven't. This is another one. I have a shrink wrap copy. So what I want to do is I want to do a playthrough because it's actually beautiful. I kind of had an emotional moment when this ship sank at the end, and I didn't save everybody. And you look at their portraits, and you see the kids and the women and the children, and the men that died. Because I feel bad for the men too. Men are people too. They died, and this game doesn't really mask over that. As something I appreciate about Bonnie and Clyde too, it's kind of a tragic game. You know they die at the end. That's how you win. You get them to fall in love and have a nice night at this like romantic spot, and you know that they're going to get killed as part of justice for their crimes. There's no stopping that. You just want to make it as nice as possible. Same with this. There's no stopping it. These people died on this ship, and this doesn't make light of it actually at all. It's not funny. It's kind of a what do you call that? Not sorrowful, somber experience. And then when I will say there's some swing in difficulty. The first time I played it was, first 3 times actually, was a little more difficult. I played on the harder mode. When I played with my sister, we played a 2-player game. Our first time, we didn't do very well at all. Second time, we saved everybody, and it almost felt wrong. It was a little too easy. So I need some more multiplayer plays to see how much depends on what cards you draw and how much of that was strategy. I don't know. But that's SOS Titanic, and I want to have a giveaway of that coming for you soon. Almost done, because I'm almost out of time. I've got to head to work and coach some boys for gymnastics. Infected. So this is a social deduction game for 5 to 6 players. You can play 7 to 12 if you buy 2 boxes. This is where one of you plays as a plague doctor in the 16th century. I'm just throwing that out there. It could be any century. The plague doctor, and the rest of you are villagers. And all the villagers actually have different decks of cards, so slightly different abilities, and I always appreciate that in a social deduction game. Instead of everybody, like you're either villagers with the same powers and one villain. No, there's one villain, but the villagers all have unique powers, and I greatly appreciated that. This is largely a silent game. You don't have to be silent. It's just the gameplay lends toward that, and I actually enjoyed it more once we figured that out. I don't know if that's the intention. Table talk is encouraged, but the gameplay is kind of tense, so you don't want to have too much table talk. So the way it works is you all have a deck of cards. One of you is the plague giver, the plague doctor. There you go. One of you is the plague doctor, and you are trying to infect everybody as fast as possible before you're discovered as the plague doctor. If you infect everybody, you win the game. If you're the villagers, you want to guess who the plague doctor is as soon as possible, because if you get the plague, you die and you're out of the game, right? So if there's 5 of you playing, like in the game I played, one of you is the plague doctor, like someone might die every round, they might not. So you got to guess pretty fast. If you're the villagers and you guess who the plague doctor is correctly, then you win. Or if you get the plague doctor to be infected, which is not easy. The only way is if you hand them a certain card that forces them to roll a dice, and they roll the dice, and if it says infected, they're infected. There's no protection against it. You win. But remember, you don't know who the plague doctor is. So the way the game works is you have your deck of cards, and each round you pass a card to another player, and you pass it to a different person each time, and the game determines that. There's a sequence card that tells you who to pass, like second person to your left, first round, first person to your right, second round. And there's all kinds of different combinations that the game determines. So there's plenty of variability there. Again, these aren't like genuine reviews. It's just my impressions after playing it. So if it leans on the positive side, forgive me. I genuinely did enjoy it. And I'm trying to bring out any negatives, like knowing that this is basically solitaire. This is basically solitaire. So that you're aware of that, you know. Whether it's a negative or not, I don't know. Okay. But anyway, infected, you pass a person a card face down, and they pass you a card. So that means if I think you're a villager, I want to pass you an immunization. So that way, if the plague doctor passes, or a vaccine, if the plague doctor passes you an infected card, they're protected. But I don't know I don't want to give my vaccine card to the plague doctor because I only have one as the villager, right? Your other cards are maybe just safe, or they might be that you are vaccinated in the next round. So there's some strategy going around. And as a plague doctor, you can pass a plague card, right? And if you're the villager, once you get past the plague card, you cannot guess who the plague doctor is. You're not allowed. You are silenced. But you can still knock them out by passing them a dice card. So you know who they are. You can't accuse them and you can't tell anybody. But you could get them a dice card and maybe win that way. So plenty of strategy going around. I was not sure if we would enjoy it with the group I played with, and I would say they were a gamer group, even though I've never played with them before. It was a hit, and we want to replay it. So, Stang, loved it. I got to speed up. I've talked about Hostage Negotiator in the past. I played Crime Wave and Career for the first time. I am on Mission 7, and I want to do a full playthrough of this because it's fun. It is super fun. You are going through a career. It's a campaign mode for Hostage Negotiator. So each year, you play through 10 years, and each year starts out with, first of all, something like an event happens. I don't remember if it's a personal or work event. You resolve it, and you make a decision, and that decision affects the rest of the game. So maybe it's like your boss is asking you to work harder or work overtime. Actually, it's more interesting in the game. There's like dialogue and stuff. I'm making it boring. But maybe you get the feel that your boss is hitting on you. Okay, that's kind of one of them. And you have a choice to make. Do you respond, or do you say, no, I'm married and I'm committed to my wife? Well, that's what I picked. And that meant my personal stress level went way down, which was great. That can give you benefits later in the game. Career stress, though, went up because now I'm at odds with my boss, right? You pay the price. You have to make decisions. So after you do that, then you go to the actual hostage negotiation, and it has that bump there because I took this on an airplane, and I knew it. Games are meant to be played, so I'm not planning on reselling it, but I'm going to tape that down or polish it down. Anyway, then you go to work, and then you deal with a personal event afterward, and then there may be other crises that happen. You make changes. You may go up in rank in your career. I'm 7 years in, and I'm still the lowest ranking officer, so I'm obviously doing something wrong, and I want to replay it. But my personal life is going great until my wife got killed. She straight up got killed in year 6. We had a great marriage. So now my character's changed. He's a little angry. He's a little disenchanted. He might start making more poor personal decisions than he has in the past. We'll see, and that will probably take his career up. I don't know, but it's a bit late in the game. I want to replay it. I'm having so much fun with that. And I finally played Marvel Champions. If you follow me on Instagram, I did a mano-a-mano one-on-one competition with Sword and Board. He is now the one true Mike because I lost. But I only lost. We played as Spider-Man versus somebody. I don't remember. Rhino. The beginner one. So I played like 10 times to be able to learn this game. And honestly, it's not necessarily my type of game. I do love it. If I'm going to play a living card game, I'd probably pick up Lord of the Rings, though, because the theme just appeals more to me. But I got to say, the balance of this game is remarkable. Oh, my goodness. Like the way you can craft, I guess it's called theory crafting or something. You can craft like your own decks for your villains and heroes, and it's balanced. It's no wonder that this game is huge, that Marvel Champions is huge. I get it. I totally see the value in it. It's not enough for me that I'll probably buy any more packs, but I would gladly play with anyone else. We played solo games. You can play it co-op as well. I enjoyed Sentinels of the Multiverse more personally, and like I said, if I'm doing a living card game, I will probably go to Lord of the Rings. Hostage Negotiator is kind of my Marvel Champions, even though they're quite different. This has dice. But it was fun. I lost by only 1 HP, and honestly, we should have gone by threat level. I think it's threat level, because I would have won on that, because we both beat him in 4 rounds. He had 1 more HP, but it was super fun, so I'm going to challenge Mike again once he is not so busy and try to reclaim my throne. So if you want to see shenanigans like that, put that over on Instagram. It takes us to our next and final topic. Where's this channel going? Y'all have me over 700 subscribers. It's beautiful, and I greatly appreciate that. Others who started at the same time as me are growing much faster, 2-3 times as fast. And I recognize a lot of the reason why. As I experiment quite a bit, and I'm starting to recognize kind of where the flops are and where the successes are. So here on YouTube, this is my mainstay. This is really the home for what I do. And I'm trying to keep it more to these vlogish style updates, as well as playthroughs and reviews and tutorials. The tutorials, they don't get a lot of views straight up front, but over time, they seem to give you guys value. So Cape May was a good example of that. When I made those, it was like dead in the water. Like nobody was watching it, and I worked really hard. So it was kind of a bummer, and I was like, well, that's it. No more playthrough how to plays. But I've seen over time that actually it's helped several people decide whether that was the game for them. And that's what I want. I want to be useful. I want to interact and have fun, but I want to be useful too. So I think that's actually more of what you're going to be seeing, that along with some vlogs, and as well as lists from time to time. I do enjoy doing the lists, and especially with November, December coming around, people looking for Black Friday sales. I enjoy the list because it helps people identify what they may or may not like. That's kind of what you're going to see here. The shenanigans now I love. I absolutely love it. That's not going away, but it's more on the Instagram side where I'm able to challenge other creators. It seems to fit better over there instead of cluttering up over here. So it all interacts, but if you want to see a little more stupidity, which I absolutely love, you'll still see that in my personality here, and I'm sure I'll still do something stupid here, but a little more helpful on the YouTube side, a little more stupid and fun on the Instagram side, all of it to be fun. I hope that makes sense. I gotta go. Last thing, t-shirts, thank you for your support. If you like this shirt, I like this shirt, then you can get it. I'll put the link below. You can get this shirt in your own size, in whatever color you want. You can get a muscle shirt, you can get a tank top, and that is on sirmeeple.com. Just search for Board Games for One, or go to YouTube creators Board Games for One. Sir Meeple made it all. He's fantastic, super cool guy. Hoping to work with him more, but yeah, you can have this. A few other creators have bought it. It's super cool. I appreciate it. At first, I'll be honest, I was so excited when I saw the design, and when I got the shirt, I loved it because it's soft, it fits, it's comfortable. But then I was like, oh my goodness, that's my face. People are going to laugh at me. And actually, it kind of got I started worried so much about it, it kind of got my confidence down a little. And so I decided when I went on a trip to visit family in the Florida Keys, because that's where I grew up. I was born in Columbus, Ohio, grew up in the Florida Keys. I was like, you know what? Try to just wear it with no shame, because I think it's cool. It makes me happy. I love it. I did, and so I'm not ashamed of it now. I love it. I think it's an awesome design. I want to see it more. I want to see it more. So you can pick that up if you like, and if you don't, please don't. There's no problem at all. I love you all. I'm gonna let YouTube decide the next video. Let's see what they think you want. I'll see you next time.